Jack Ebling here with Lindsay Huddleston at Breslin Center. Another Press Pass preview, and Michigan State basketball in action. 94-46 win over Charleston Southern. Getting ready for the Maui Invitational.
Getting ready for some warm weather, huh?
Yeah. And Michigan State picked up where it left off with that big win last Thursday against Seton Hall. Really played a terrific second half. First half had some moments where they let down a little bit. Offensively wasn't the same, but scoring 54 points after the break. Cassius Winston said the goal was transition offense and rebounding, and Michigan State did a great job there. 54-28 on the boards, but the thing I like best, 31 assists on 36 baskets.
Wow.
Don't
really
see that
there.
very often.
No, that's great. That's great. One thing I remember early in the first half, hearing Coach Tom Izzo shout to Gabe Brown, start playing, and those must have been the magic words. He sure did, and as well as the rest of the team.
Couple of big dunks.
Big Sports Center-like dunks, huh? We may see those later, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And Cassius said, you know, that gave everybody a lift, picked him up. Gabe starting because Aaron Henry with the ankle held out. Aaron said afterward that he should be fine for next week.
Right.
Looking forward to going to Maui. Cassius has been to Hawaii a couple times, but he's never been to Maui. And he's asking questions about what's that like, what's that gym like, all that kind of stuff. So Michigan State, once again, a lot of depth. And Xavier Tillman, 21 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds, rather, and 4 assists. So he played a complete game. Could have been a few more points if he'd made his free throws.
Right, they kind of struggle with that. You look at players like Rocket Watts and him still working to find his place, even coming off that huge game with Seton Hall, that big three-pointer. But I think these games are important. These are tune-up games to get these guys ready to go into those big games. And wow, you look at teams like Kentucky who may have beat them before but still be on the losing end or close to losing. It doesn't matter. Everyone needs to focus right now on doing the right things, the small things for their team to be successful down the road.
Remember when we talked to Rocket after the exhibition game against Albion?
Right.
And he talked about being a little nervous.
Right.
And then the first couple games this year, he was trying to feel his way. And then at the end of the Seton Hall game, I think he got his mojo. And tonight, he was very aggressive.
Yes.
Didn't make every shot, but at least he took the ones he had to take.
Jack, I think it's easy for people to take for granted that these guys can go from being the best in a 100-mile radius and then come on this floor and all of a sudden do it. Another person I think is going through a transition is Julius Marble. Great player. He's working his way through, but soon you're going to see a breakout for him. But it takes time for these guys to transition.
And we saw Malik Hall back. He actually did miss a shot. We know he's capable of not making every shot he takes, but he played very well again.
Perfect example of someone who probably wasn't on everyone's radar, but now you have this expectation of him going forward, so with the other players as well.
And Michigan State winning by 48 points, and you know, it should beat Charleston Southern by 48 points. They will not beat Virginia Tech by 48. They will not beat Dayton or Georgia by 48, coached by Tom Crean.
Right.
And they definitely won't beat Kansas by 48. So these are stat stuffer games.
Sure, it's important, but I think it's also great for their confidence. We always talk about how it's important to build a confidence. Gabe Brown is going to remember this night once he touches down in Maui. He wants to keep that in mind. And someone like Aaron Henry, the first time he sat out of practice in the game, he's going to be chomping at the bit to get out there and play. So that's going to be another rested and explosive player who can help the team going forward.
Michigan State players in the locker room talking about the Kentucky game tonight.
Right.
Kentucky struggling with Utah Valley. Very close game at the end. Kentucky pulled away with some free throws. I think won by 9.
Sure.
But not what anyone was expecting. It just shows you got to come to play and you've got to target. Michigan State's got that bullseye.
I agree. They have the bullseye, but I think it's indicative of this generation, the athletes and what's happening. Being number one doesn't mean you stay number one. Everyone does have the target on your back. And just being number one doesn't mean you're invincible. So it's great to have the way that Coach Izzo is coaching the team, focusing on making them play to the very last end.
And one of the big developments tonight, and I'm sure it'll be in a lot of the stories you read, I'm talking to people and they're going to lead with this, Cassius Winston addressing the crowd after the game. It was something Tom Izzo offered him the opportunity to do. Cassius really wanted to do it. He might have asked Tom had he not been approached first. Came out to midcourt and he talked about the outpouring of support, how much it meant to him, going through a troubled time. I said, how many texts, how many flowers did you? He said, I couldn't count them all. He said, but I could feel the love, it's real.
Yeah, you know, I had to check with him one time. I've been in touch with him via phone. just to check if his number is right. He said, I get so much stuff all the time. You can only imagine now. But this is their sanctuary. You know, you saw his dad was here tonight as well, as always, supporting him. But this is their sanctuary, and this is probably the most therapeutic place for him to be out here with the love and support to help him move forward.
And when they get out to the islands, it'll be a different environment. What's this Tom Izzo talking about going to the beach?
He's going to show those legs off on the beach?
Well, normally, you know, they go out there and they don't do anything fun. They practice. They might take a little educational trip. But it's not a vacation for them. It is for the fans who go out there.
Sure.
But now he's talking about working this team hard this week and then going out there and having some fun, which is a departure from the way he's handled it.
Well, you know, it may bring perspective. It's been some time since he's hoisted that national championship trophy. He's probably thought about things he can incorporate, and who knows, with all the things that are happening with his players and their families, he may just look at things differently. That may be just a little break to help them move forward like they want to.
After 37 years, you ought to learn a few things, right?
One or two, right?
How long he's been here. Incredible stuff. But we'll see what this team is like next week, and that's going to be important with Aaron back in the lineup. But you saw the depth. You saw Kyle Arns hitting shots. They could put their second team out on the court and beat most opponents.
I think people unlike you and I who have a bird's eye view to this team really don't have any idea how much depth there really is, how solid these players are going down to the very end of the bench. And, you know, when it's time for the next man to step up, they'll have people ready to step up in those roles if need be to be successful.
And one of the things that I haven't seen yet, and you see a lot of times with teams like this, with a lot of players, everybody starts fighting over minutes. And this team doesn't seem to be about that. They want to share. They have their eyes on the prize.
That's right.
They know what the goal is. So anything that helps them get to playing their best basketball in late March and April, that's what they want to do. And for right now, I think a good goal every game should be get Steven Izzo to the scorer's table.
If we can get Steven Izzo in the box score, we've done our job. But I think, Jack, what you have is a different dynamic in this team. You have a goal-oriented team that wants a championship. So it's not all about my stats, his stats, who's getting more time, who's not. It's like, can we win the championship? And when you have that, you have a different mindset, and that probably will get the Steven Izzos of the world in the game.
I was talking to Irvin about this many years ago, and the idea of a rising tide floats all boats. He says, it's my job to get those guys baskets and stats and make them feel a part of it, that it isn't just about me and Special K, Gregory Kelser.
That's right.
And he was very conscious of that. The guy came into a game who hadn't been scoring, he was going to get a good pass. And I think Cassius has some of that in him, tries to pick a guy up, and he really likes to reward guys who run in transition.
Right.
If you run, he's going to get you the ball.
Yeah, Thomas Kithier needs to look out for that. The first pass of the game, he threw it out there and Thomas didn't run. But I think you're absolutely right when you talk about Irvin Magic Johnson and the Cassius Winston and the similarities of getting other people involved. It's not all about me. And I think when you have those kind of players, you see the success that this program is having. And those are the guys Coach Izzo is looking for when he's recruiting. He's not looking for these guys who are about me, me, me. It's about the team and buying into this culture. And so many times when guys come in, you ask, why did you choose Michigan State? And they talk about the family, and that's an example of family taking care of your brothers as you go.
Well, a 48-point win, and tomorrow we will be talking Michigan State football, getting ready for the game against Rutgers after the 44-10 loss to Michigan, the pasting, and you've got 34-point loss there. Tonight you had a 48-point win. You can see the difference, but Michigan State is a 3-touchdown favorite over Rutgers.
That's good. I think they'll take advantage of it. You know, you hear the players talking about 2 more games, and many of them want to play it out to the very end.
2 more games, 2 more wins, and they can get into a bowl game, which to most fans would be a disappointment after the goals and the expectations, but it's a chance for guys to show what they can do. It's a chance for another trip. It's a chance for younger players to get extra practices and get ready for next year. And Michigan State's going to have a lot of openings on that team for next year. Whether it has one for coach or not, we don't know.
It wasn't for me to say that. But possibly.
But they are going to have a lot of jobs open, and there'll be competition for that, and it's competing every day.
And you definitely want to say, being in a bowl game is nothing just to thumb your nose up at. I think it may not be what people want, but it still says that this is the great program, and a bowl game is a signification of that. And if they do get that, I think at the end of the day, we can say expectations weren't met, but Michigan State is still a great program trying to do its best going forward.
Well, it's not what anybody wanted. It's not what a lot of people expected, but with 12 bowls in 13 years, if Michigan State can win these last 2 games, 12 out of 13, that's really good. When you look at nationally, there are a lot of programs that are top programs that have had 2 or 3 or 4 down seasons. And I remember when Michigan State went to the Cherry Bowl in 1984, the second year under George Perlis.
Okay, the Cherry Bowl.
Played in the Silver Dome, played Army, and the crowd went crazy, and the idea of Michigan State's in a bowl game. Now it's in a bowl game every year. It's
right.
Poo-poo. So.
Well, one thing we won't poo-poo is Press Pass. That's going to be coming up soon.
You'll be on this Sunday.
All right.
Looking forward to that after you get back from Rutgers. For Lindsay Huddleston, Jack Ebling saying, we'll see you tomorrow after Michigan State football.